Hey, this is Michael from South Carolina, and today I was listening to a little bit of the Rush Limbaugh show, which I almost never do, and I heard Rush Limbaugh say that elections have consequences, and he encouraged his conservative audience to wait for a future event that would wake up the public, and that's basically the way that he phrased it. Well, I can say that no such event is going to happen. If all the things that have happened over the last 50 years or so haven't yet woken up the public across the U.S., then nothing will. Their cities have been destroyed. They have to rebuild them into suburbs, and then those have to be rebuilt once they are also destroyed. Their industrial base has been sent overseas. They're being demographically replaced by their own government, by third world immigrants. Their schools are institutions of propaganda for the most part, not of education. Their media is loathsome, to say the least. Their elected leaders are professional liars and con artists who rip off the people at every single opportunity. If this doesn't wake up the U.S. public, nothing will, let's be honest. But in every election, Southerners vote overwhelmingly for traditional values, social continuity, secure borders, economic freedom, gun rights, and so forth. Now, when we win, and I put that in quotation marks, we always get sold out, every time, by politicians in Washington, D.C. Southerners overwhelmingly voted for Ronald Reagan, for example, because they thought that he represented our values, but he did not. Reagan sold us out, just like pretty much all U.S. Republican leaders do. Now, Reagan gave amnesty, for example, to 3 million illegal aliens. He made Martin Luther King Jr. Day a federal holiday over the protest of Southerners who had voted for him. He was an abysmal failure from a Southern point of view, Ronald Reagan was. And he's as good as it gets when it comes to U.S. political leaders. Bush, who is not remembered, is remembered finally by some Southerners, unfortunately, was much worse. Bush pushed amnesty. He extended federal control of Southern elections. He started unnecessary foreign wars, which Southerners did to fighting and dying for the most part. He helped inflate a housing bubble that popped and destroyed the economy. He was awful on pretty much everything. And this is what we get when we win, in quotation, U.S. elections. Southerners deserve better. We've been screwed over by the U.S. political system for too long. We've suffered enough. It's time for a change. It's time for independence. More than 1 million people have so far signed these secession petitions, and polls show that the number of people who support secession is very high. For example, half of the Republicans in Georgia now support independence from the U.S. federal government, and that number will only grow over time. Now, independence is the solution to Washington, D.C., to the federal government. This system has failed. It has failed us. It's time for independence.